Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. And well, guys, got another guest, but this time we're staying on the planet. Got a guest from the Lars Homestead, Konnor from Beyond the Dune Sea. How you doing, man?
Hello, hello, hello. It's nice to see someone from the other side of the Dune Sea for once. I'm usually just chatting with this bozo who's sitting across from me most of the time, and he's not here to
Yeah,
defend himself. So,
yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like you got after him in that last video with the tier list. So
I did.
that was pretty entertaining to watch, especially the Balin parts was
Oh, that's fun, fun
I think that might be my favorite part. But
stuff.
yeah, man. Thanks for joining me. So
Of course, thanks for having me. It's great
and
to be here. Long time chatters, first time kind of sort of seeing each other face to
yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's actually something I wanted to get into. Um I actually messaged you on my personal account in I want to say January of this year. It was
Mm.
like right before I launched this thing, and um a little a little bit of my origin story here of how I started this channel. I started watching you and Seth. I think it was your second Ahsoka episode. It was
Oh wow, like
yeah.
OG.
I I remember I don't remember how I stumbled onto you guys, but I was looking for a podcast to listen to that that broke down Ahsoka, and I just happened to stumble upon you guys. And I mean, you guys had a lot of the same viewpoints I did, a lot of the same critiques, and I just started watching from there. And I know I'm not the only person in our group that did the same thing. Jeremy Bloor, I'm looking at you. Um,
Oh, Blor on Mandalore, the guy
yeah,
with the stash.
he I can credit you guys for giving me the courage to start this thing.
Ah,
So so I will I'm gonna fanboy a little bit here. So it was if it wasn't for you guys starting your podcast, I probably wouldn't be here. I
that
mean
that's
it
That's so crazy. That's
yeah,
so that means so much to hear because it's like, when Seth and I started, it was like we we had no expectations of what we were gonna do,
mhm,
but at the core of what we wanted to do was just be sort of we wanted to just be positivity because the Star Wars
yeah,
fandom, we're kind of famous for not being the most positive group out there.
pitchforks
Uh,
and torches.
and we were like, we maybe got something to offer here and we have some background in doing stuff like this, but we'd never tried it together, Seth and I. And
Mhm.
so it's crazy to hear from you know from you and from Jeremy as well, who's told us the same thing. It's very humbling because we would have never thought, that we would have never
Yeah,
thought that not only would we have people who would watch us, but then that people would be encouraged or be inspired to then do the same thing. And it's cool. I'm
yeah,
so glad. I'm so because I've really enjoyed talking to you and all the friends we've made, and like you
mhm,
have such unique viewpoints, and your cast is really interesting. The what if stuff that you did right out of the gate was
yeah,
really unique, and so that's just crazy, and so that means a lot to to hear you say that, and I'm glad. I'm glad if at the end of the
yeah,
day, Seth and I's silly adventures out beyond the Dune Sea, if all it ever came from it was um, that guys like you got to kick off your journey, of
yeah,
creating and talking and stuff, then that's cool. I'm glad then we did our job, and I'm happy with
yeah.
it.
And I was actually gonna ask, I know when I first started my what if, which is now still being I'm still waiting on a couple pieces to come in as far as lines go, and then I will start the editing process
Mm.
to get it started. But I wanted to actually ask your thoughts on when you first listened to it. What was your initial thoughts of my first what if scenario? Like,
Oh, I thought it was really great. I think, first of all, I think that taking that first step into putting yourself out there is it's a huge thing. And
Mhm.
not only that, but I thought that you did something really unique, which was like you were telling a story. You weren't just like propping a camera up and just blabbering to a camera, which hey, we all do that too. And that's fun. And then it's great to get different perspectives that way. But you also were like you were getting your own expressions out there, and you were trying to, or you successfully told a narrative um, as your first outing, which I thought was really, really fun. Like that was
Mhm.
so unique. Because you hear all the time, and it's even a joke, right? Like everybody has a podcast these days, you know. Uh, and like you didn't do that when you started out. Like you it was a cast, right? But you also were telling a story, which I think
Mhm.
it's almost like an audio drama
Yeah.
in that way.
Which is what the basis of me getting all of our friends together
Yeah,
to do the audio drama. Like that's like for those that do not know, I'm talking to Master Qui-Gon Jinn, who was
yeah. I hope that I could. I don't know. Maybe I bit off a
it
little more
was
than I could chew with that one.
it was good, man. I liked it.
But
And
no, oh, sorry.
sorry, no, go ahead, sid. Sorry.
Uh, there's sorry. There's a little bit of a delay here, so I was.
Oh no, I got you. I got you.
um, yeah. So I thought that your story was also really interesting because it was not. I don't like the premise was something I wouldn't have thought of right away. Like, what if Anakin joined Obi-Wan on Utapau? You know, if he went with him. I think that idea is like you hear all the time. Like, oh, what if Vader didn't die on or not die, excuse me. What if Vader didn't lose on Mustafar? What if all like you hear those scenarios all the
Hmm.
time? But I thought that your approach to it, starting at that particular point in time, was really fascinating. I thought it was a
Hmm.
great point to launch into the story, um, and all the weaving and twists and turns with that. I think that's
Hmm.
really fun. I think that's really fun. I'm excited to see it kind of told in a sort of audio, like more in that sort of edited audio drama type way,
Hmm.
because you doing it solo was great. But I think it's fun that you've gotten
My
all this.
voice is yeah.
You've assembled, all these very talented, excluding myself. I do a mediocre job at best, but all these very talented individuals out there who are going to knock it out of the park. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's dude, I cannot wait to get started. It's because that's something that I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about for years. Like what, like I mean, exactly how I like what I told is exactly. I've been thinking about that for 3 4 years. My because I remember I was texting my brother about it. Like I just texted him like, hey, what if Anakin went with Obi-Wan? And then there's a text chain. It was just a stream of Star Wars consciousness between me and my brother.
Isn't
And
that great?
it was just like I thought of the whole what if Cody survived and he talked to Rex and like just like everything. And then the Bad Batch got introduced and I essentially like my idea after I watched Rebels and got everybody and watched and got caught up. I essentially brought in, I cherry picked essentially like all my favorite aspects of Star Wars, put them together, and I think I mixed them up pretty well and
Yeah,
made a
yeah.
pretty cohesive story. So
Well, it's cool. I mean, as a creator, as an artist, it's the most fun part, right? Being able to see
yeah,
that slowly come to life. Uh,
yeah,
it's like, I mean, that's why we chase this. It's why we do what we do. Like we're always kind of finding that. Uh,
hmm,
and I think I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you in that way. Like
yeah,
I'm excited to be a small part of it, and I'm honored to be a small part of it. But even more so than that, I'm excited for you because I know that feeling of
hmm,
stepping out into that world and like being able to create that thing that's been in your head for so long. And it's like, oh,
hmm,
now I can, in this case, listen to it. But now I can, it's something, right? It's tangible. It's not just in my head anymore. That's
yeah,
one of the best parts about being an artist, being a creator. And I'm excited. I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to listen to it as a fan, but I'm also excited for you as a friend to be able to do that.
yeah. And that's something else I wanted to touch on. The live chat that we had during the villain tier list that you put out.
Yes. Man,
I said it the next morning when I woke up, and that's probably the most fun I've had in a live chat
me
ever.
too. I
Like, it was just, I can't really explain it. It was just fun. I mean,
You know, it's crazy because it's moments like that that kind of reinvigorate like my love for doing this kind of stuff. Because I'm not gonna
mhm,
lie to you, that episode was a nightmare to put together. Like
I
I
can
had
imagine.
issue after issue after issue. And sometimes that's just the name of the game. Sometimes it's poor planning, sometimes it's crunch time, sometimes it's just unexpected issues. It's just all kind of rolled and everything kind of rolled into one. So I had kind of so as a lot of people who geez, let me roll back a little bit. Sorry, as I'm about to make clear, I'm a little sleep deprived because I just had a baby recently, which is what I was about to say. And because of that,
Okay.
I'm still getting used to my new schedule and my new role, you
Mhm.
know. And so this episode, it was such a long episode, and like I was just so bogged down with it. I was working on it so like way longer than I was planning on, what I meant to. And by the time I was ready to release it, I was burnt. I was kind of irritated at it. I even messaged Seth and I was like, dude, I usually don't get frustrated at this kind of stuff, but like this made me upset. and
Yeah,
and then I put
I
it
got
out
you.
there, and then it was like, oh my gosh, like all that went away because I put out a poll like, hey, you guys up for a late night premiere? And to be honest, I put that out there because I'm like, I just want to get this out there because I'm tired of looking at it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we had a lot of people involved in that one. Like you were
Yeah,
involved in it. I
yeah,
we had outside, and I'm like, for their sake, I had several of those guys messaging me like really excited about, hey, when is this episode going to come out? And so I had that pressure too, and I'm like, which it's not their fault. I get it. Like we usually come out on Fridays, and so because
yeah,
we were delayed, so I'm like, I wanted to get it out for that reason. But then we put it out. It launches 11 p.m. my time.
it was right. I
And
think it was. Sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I that was when I just got to the UFC fight at the movie theater, and I remember I think it was like the second fight on the card, and a notification on my phone goes off saying that you guys started. So I switched over to my Tosche Station account and jumped on there. I've got one headphone in, watching this. And then I'm watching the fight on the big screen,
Dedicated.
and it was just it was it was chaos, but
It was
I
so
loved
fun.
it.
It
Oh, it was
seriously, I would never. I was expecting there to be like 4 people in there because 'cause I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock. No one's gonna be in here, but at least it's
yeah.
out, and then I can chat with people in the comments the next day."
I was
But
expecting
no, it
to be the
was
only person in there, and then I got in there, and then
everybody was in there. We
Grayson
had
jumped in there, and then like 5 minutes after that, I think Ashley came in, then Tony came in. I was like, so everyone stayed up for this. Okay, let's go.
it was cool.
So
It meant a lot to me personally, and it was like, it's gonna be an all-timer memory for me,
oh
like,
yeah,
it
that's up there for me as well as far as
I
Star Wars memories.
it's cool. It's just, I hate to keep harping on about our thing because 'cause we're here to chat with you about your stuff, but,
Well,
it's,
it's not just my stuff. It's we're going to talk
I
about a
know,
lot
I
of
just,
stuff. So
but no, it was really cool. It was awesome to see the community come out like that, and it was sort of validation of what Seth and I have been trying to build, which is like we're trying to kinda build that positive community, and I think we're getting there,
and I think
and
we
that's not even a credit to us. It's like we found a community to plug into, and I that's what's been really cool, is like
and
building
that
it
was
with
my
like
next point that I was going to jump on is I've said this privately to Ashton and Grayson and Tony and Will. Like, I am glad that I found this corner of Star Wars fandom
yeah.
because, like, it's not like I don't trust people easy. I just don't. Just by nature. I don't get close to people that easily. And when I first met you guys, it was I'm gonna say it was almost instant. Like uh as soon as I started talking to you guys, I was like, these guys, I can these guys are cool. These guys are cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy about the, like you said, the community that that we've all built together,
It,
like our group of friends. Like,
and I got to give credit where it's due, because I was just telling him this the other day. But Grayson, Mortis FM, he's really kind of the kingmaker here, because
yep.
he has kind of assembled everybody. Like, I had brief conversations with like Will, with Tony, with
And then
all these guys,
he
right?
brought everybody together.
But Mortis was the guy who Grayson came in and was like, "Hey, we should do Tales from the Archives," putting group chats together. And yeah, like, I'm the kind of person, I hate to say it, I'm very introverted.
Yeah,
Even though I'm like, I kind of, I play it up a little bit on the show just for the show, right? But
yeah.
in my own personal life, I am a lot more introverted, and so yeah, I'll definitely talk to anybody if they send me a message. Like your perfect example, chatted with you many times, but I would not have had the initiative to get everything going like the way Mortis has, and so he's, I think, fostered this. There were a bunch of little sparks everywhere. I think there was you, and there was I think Will, Diamond Figs. There was Will of the Force. Excuse me, he's
Will
changed
of
his name
course.
now.
I was about to say
Uh,
correction.
Star Wars Sith 66. Tony. There was and Ashton, and I'm a million other people, that I
Yeah.
could mention right here. There were all these little sparks, and some of these guys were connected already, like Will and Tony. But Mortis, I think, really brought together a group, and he's still doing it with like that High Republic recap that he's been doing. Like,
Beautiful. It's been awesome.
just yeah. So shameless plug to Mortis FM. Go check those guys out. I know
Yeah,
if you're listening
absolutely.
if you're listening to both of us, you know who Mortis FM is. But
Yeah. Speaking of the High Republic, let's talk
yes.
about what brought us here today.
Oh,
So, can you tell us what today is, Connor? It's a Monday, right?
it's a Monday. It's the Acolyte Eve,
It's the
my
Eve of
friend.
Acolyte. Or it's something that some discourse I've been seeing all day is there I saw something earlier today that there was a glitch on Disney Plus that said
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
was happening today or something like that. So I don't like
Tony was
I
pushing that. He was like, "It's happening today," and we're like,
that's
"Nah, brother. They just put up the wrong graphic."
yeah, that would, dude. Because if they did do that, I would have messaged you, say, hey, I know we got this scheduled, but we gotta,
We got,
you and
hey,
me,
yeah, take a
yeah,
rain check.
yeah. I was gonna say we've got a duty to do as Star Wars podcasters. See you
That's
later.
funny.
But yeah, man. So given that we're the night before and what we've all seen, have you seen any? Have you read any of the reviews so far, or have you stayed away from them?
I've been half and half, just from the nature of what we do online. Like, I see it. As Seth
Yeah.
likes to say, it's come across my desk. uh, I try to avoid it because I really don't like the trailers. Nothing against the. We'll find out with the show, because the show's not out. I can't judge it,
Yeah.
but man, they show too much in those trailers. It drives me nuts. So I try to stay away from those as much as I can. I've read a couple of the reviews that just has come across my feed. It looks promising. I mean, I
Mhm.
my relationship with the show so far has been very up and down.
I think everybody's has because the director's comments. I'm not going to get into them. You know the ones I'm talking about
Yeah,
from
no,
like
and I
from way
think
back.
that it's weird because it's one of those things where it's like she was taken out of context, but also if you watch the whole thing, it's like maybe she wasn't out of context. But then now if you listen to a lot of the stuff she says now, I think their marketing team, aside from the trailers, is
Hmm.
kind of crushing it. Like
Oh, they
that,
are.
I think she sounds like a genuine fan. Headland does,
Hmm.
Leslie Headland. I
Yeah.
mean, she's bringing up obscure EU references, prequel talk, OT talk, and that's all I want as a fan, really. Like,
Hmm.
this is always like what I like to compare it to is the Jared Leto Joker effect. Okay. Like, and so what I mean by that is, because you might be like, what in the world does that mean? And what does that have to do with Star Wars? So when Jared Leto was the Joker, right? They released that picture of him with all the tattoos, and it felt like, okay, we can't go the Heath Ledger route because that was so
It's Heath
popular. We
Ledger.
can't
Yeah.
go, and we can't go the comic book route. We got to do our own thing. And it's like, just do what people like. He is an
Do what people
established
want to
character
see.
in the comics. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
follow Ledger's lead, but
You
he has an
can't.
established look and everything in the comics. Go with that. And it's like they
Yeah.
always have to. Every director, it felt like, for the Joker, has to have their own stamp on
Take
the
on it.
character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I felt like Star Wars has been in a weird spot where it's felt like we're it's almost like that is okay. That's not fair. Not just Star Wars, pop culture in general. I mean, look at like the Halo TV show. They're like bragging about not playing the games. Oh, they got to do their own thing. The Witcher, another great example. Oh, we're not following the books. It's like, then why base something off source material? You know what I mean?
And
Like,
yeah.
make your own IP at that point. You're just capitalizing off the IP. So if you're going to do something in Star Wars, I'm fine with a completely fresh take. Give me something fresh.
Just stay inside the source material.
Just pay respect to the source material. I don't need
Bingo.
you going out there on the press tour and being like, like all these idiots who came before, we're doing, which I'm exaggerating, obviously, but like the Halo TV show writers, I didn't even watch Star Wars. I'm going to make my own thing. Like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
You might as well be making Dune at that point.
So to round it back to Acolyte, it's nice because I think that Headland has shown that she does really respect what's come before. Like a lot of these recent, just little snippets and stuff that we've gotten have been really fun. Like the one that just released today was this video message from Hayden Christensen to Amandla.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up.
Like, that's so fun. It's just like a little, you get to see Amandla being a fangirl. Like fangirling, over Anakin, and that's so fun. Like, and you're connecting him into it, or that thing they did a couple days ago where it was two directors talk about Star Wars, Dave Filoni and Leslie Headland, and she's talking to him about Ahsoka and he's talking to her about the Acolyte. That's all I ever want from like new faces coming into Star Wars, is just pay respect to what you're coming into the world. Otherwise, why are you here? You know what I mean? And so those initial comments that were kind of all over the place, and I get it, it was rage baiting the community because we're easy to rage bait. Let's be honest. And those didn't do her any favors at first, but that's why I said it's been kind of a up and down for me. But right now, like I said, she's proved herself to be, like, she knows what she's doing. Now we'll see. I'll judge the actual show as it comes out. I don't know. They may fumble the bag, but I mean, everything I've seen so far from the cast and crew, it looks, I don't know. It looks all right. I think that I've been enjoying the set design. I'm enjoying the characterizations. I like that there's aliens in here. Like, that's been kind of a problem with some of the most recent live action shows. The only thing that I'm a little nervous about is the music, just because everything we've seen from the trailers and stuff, the music is real generic. I don't know if that's a reflection of what we're going to really see in the show, but that's the only thing that I'm kind of on the fence about as of now. How about you?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it?
I'm kind of echo you. Essentially, when Leslie Headland made those initial comments, that really turned me off, and I was thinking, okay, I can see. Like, as soon as she said that, I was thinking, okay, I can see where the direction's going to go here, and it's probably not going to be good. This looks like it's going to not be very good.
Yep.
So, there's a couple months there where we were getting no news, and there's some stuff coming out that Acolyte got canceled and a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And then when we saw the first trailer, I was blown away, because I mean, we're essentially getting Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon mixed with Star Wars, mixed with like the Matrix, and like, the fight scenes, they look good. So and I've seen a few more things. I've kind of really stayed away from the trailers as best I can. I know that this Leslie Headland essentially said that this is going to be a live action version of the Ahsoka bombing episodes in Clone Wars. Like she took a lot of uh, she
Okay,
took a
I must
lot
have
of
missed that one. That's
uh,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
she took a lot of inspiration, or I think I saw this, that she took a lot of inspiration from those episodes
That's
to
cool. See, that's what I'm
essentially,
talking about. That's
yeah.
encouraging. I like it. I like it.
So I'm I'm interested. The two things that I'm most interested in seeing are the lightsaber whip and why does a Wookiee need a lightsaber?
Right.
That's the thing that I need to see is, I mean, you've got a 1,000-pound tank that can rip people's arms off, and you give him and you give him a lightsaber.
That's because a lightsaber is a more elegant weapon, whereas being, tearing the people's arms off, that wouldn't be very Jedi-like from Kilnaka,
Yeah,
our
but
Jedi Wookiee friend.
I
You know,
can't I can't wait to see it. Anyway, sorry, what?
oh no, I was just gonna say with the lightsaber whip, I was kind of put in my place with this one, which was kind of funny. I was being a bit of a curmudgeon when that came out. I was like, man, I don't like this. This just seems like we're just we're just trying to do something new for the sake of doing something new. I'm not into it. And then I saw a meme that was like Star Wars fans back in 1999 when Darth Maul had his second lightsaber, like, oh, they keep changing lightsabers. Star Wars fans in 2015 when they see Kylo Ren's lightsaber, oh, this is dumb. They keep changing lightsabers. Star Wars fan, and they see the Acolyte, and I'm like,
They're
I made
right.
I made fun of people like that, so that's fair. Like, yeah, all right. I'll take a step back. I'll listen. I'll wait and
I
see it.
was I was about to say, I think we're officially turning into the old men
Right. Yeah,
screaming at the clouds.
okay. I'll give you my one. Like, it's just a personal pet peeve. I don't like the yellow lightsabers. I think
Really?
that those should be very, very like very special. They should be for very specific instances and they should be very special. I just feel like we get them all the time now. So like in Georgia's Star Wars, never saw them except for maybe a comic book or a book or a video game or something like that. And then maybe way back in the Old Republic. Okay, but that's like several thousand years removed. But
Mhm.
now like in the Acolyte, you have just 150 years before you have all these Jedi
And you've
using
got
yellow lightsabers. Like, what
yeah,
happened? Where were all the yellow lightsabers? Like, I get that the temple guards used them, but that was like a specific job, and so you're able to denote them
yeah,
by the color of their saber. And then I like that Rey differentiates herself with a yellow lightsaber. And
yeah.
then the other thing, I've said this on our show many times, but I can't stand it. Luke's yellow lightsaber in the comics.
I
That's
totally
my
for,
old
I forgot that happened. Yeah,
that's my
I
old
forgot that
men
happened.
yelling at clouds thing right there. I can't
Well,
stand that.
here's like, because you actually do bring up a good point, because here's the thing that there's the three, and I'm saying on KOTOR, the three Jedi classes that we get introduced to in KOTOR that I believe are now canon: Guardians, Counselors, and Sentinels. I think that's the third one with the yellow sabers.
I've played like 2 hours of that game, so I can't.
Really?
I know those pass me by. I'm yeah.
But I think the reason that we don't see them, I'm hoping it gets explained that essentially the acolyte. I don't think this is going to happen because there's probably too much. I'm probably thinking too much, but maybe the acolyte like wipes all of them out specifically, and that's why we
Yeah, I
only
mean,
see.
it doesn't need an explanation. It's just
Yeah,
a personal pet peeve of mine where I'm just like shaking my fist and like, "Hey, you get out of here with your yellow sabers." But no, I mean that's just me nitpicking. I think that it's an iconography thing. I think at the end of the day is like
hmm,
we're always trying to hunt down like what makes Star Wars Star Wars. What gives you that like that feeling, and your like that feeling in your chest, when you're watching that's like, oh man, you're a
it's the
kid
music.
again. And yeah, it's the music. Maybe it's a visual cue. It's something like it's all of those things kind of rolled into one. And I think just realistically, we're never going to get all of those rolled back into one because I mean, Lucas was that original vision, and that's
Yeah,
okay. Like, and I'm glad that other people are now get to play in the sandbox. But I think part of that original iconography is like just yellow lightsabers weren't a part of that. Now, I know saying that there were a lot of people who did grow up with like things like the Old Republic, and those fans, I'm sure, are like they're pumping their fist rather than shaking it right now, that seeing these yellow lightsabers in live action. And I'm sure
Yeah.
they're loving it because they grew up with those games. I didn't play those games when I was a kid. So that's probably why I'm so curmudgeon-y about it. But just kind of an interesting sort of like thing that I notice, which is always I think that any new Star Wars is an uphill battle for that reason, because you're always going to be battling every single viewer's nostalgic sort of creation of what Star Wars is, and it's never going to live up to it. It's never going to happen for anybody.
Mhm.
And so some fans I think take that in stride and they're like, oh yeah, but I'm still going to love this for what it is. But other fans, they I don't think they know how to process that, and they just get mad because they're like, hey, this isn't right. I don't know why, and it's because this looks weird or this is different, and I don't like the way this sounds. And
So that actually brings me to my next point. You were talking about nostalgia. So let's wind the clocks back. What is your, I guess, and you guys have actually made an episode about this one of your earlier episodes. But what is your Star Wars origin point? What's
my origin point, origin story. Well, funny enough, when I was a lad, a young one, a youngling, if you will, I didn't like it when I was first introduced to it. I don't know why. I For some reason I can't really explain. I wasn't that into movies when I was really young.
which
Um,
is crazy given what you're
I
doing now.
yeah, I can't explain the shift. It might have been Star Wars, to be honest with you,
It
but I have a couple specific memories where like
Mhm.
I was with my we would go to the lake every other weekend
The
with my
camping
dad.
trip story.
Camping, yep, we would go
Yep.
camping, and in a camper, we had a little CRT, little TV, and we would go to movie gallery about every time I was with my dad, and we would just rent about, like, 5 to 7 movies, and we watched them after we got down on the lake. My dad was real into he had a giant outdoor kitchen, and he was real big into making a big meal on Saturdays, and we just watched movies at the end of the day. And, I have a specific memory of sitting there. I think I was, sitting on my dad's lap and watching the Battle of Hoth. That's all I remember from that movie, and then also Qui-Gon's funeral. So I think this had to have been shortly after The Phantom Menace made it to VHS. That's all I remember. And then I also remember on some birthdays, it was a specific birthday even, I got a lightsaber, and I have this, it's like burned into my memory. I took this
Mhm.
lightsaber, I was like, "I hate Star Wars," and I threw it under my bed. I don't know why. I have no I have no recollection of why I did this. But what changed was, so in the year before Revenge of the Sith came out, so 2004, my great grandpa was in the ICU. He was not doing well, and my grandma was staying with him throughout the week. And then on the weekend, my mom would go and so my grandma could go home and get some rest. She would go and spend time in the waiting room, so he didn't have to be there by himself. And so I went with my mom during those
Mhm.
weekends. And I remember we would get there early on a Friday, and we would sort of stake out a corner of this waiting room in the hospital. And in this corner, they had a cart. It was like a microwave cart that had a TV on it, and then in the cabinet, just kind of a giant stack of VHS tapes. And I remember on this particular time, she took me to Toys R Us and got me a Lego Batmobile, and like that was a big deal because like my mom did not have the money to be spending on that. But that's funny because I brought this up to her recently, and I'm like, "Ah, I bet you just did that just so I wouldn't complain, or I wouldn't want, so I wouldn't whine at you or something." And she said, "No." She's like, "I remember that." Said uh, I felt bad that you had to be there all weekend, so I wanted to do something special for you, like that. I just thought that was so nice. But I remember I was getting ready. I kind of got the Batmobile all ready to go, and I was like, "All right, I got to find a movie to watch while I'm putting this together." And I just digging through these VHS tapes. I don't know. I don't recognize any of these movies. And then Star Wars. Ah, these old things again. I've seen this before, but I'm not interested in any of these other ones, so I'll pop it in. Popped it in, And I don't know what it was. It was just it was the right circumstances this time around, and I can tell you, I have no recollection of putting together that Batmobile. Um, I was glued to that screen, and I watched it was a New Hope, but I think it was actually the non-special edition. It was the regular version
It
of it.
was the original one.
I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but the reason I say that is because I don't have any memory of that Jabba the Hutt scene. I remember seeing that years later and being like, "Huh,
That
I
wasn't
had
in
no
there.
idea this was here." So I'm pretty sure it was the original version, but I loved it, and after we'd gotten home from the hospital, I remember asking my mama, because she had a membership at the local video store. I was like, "Mama, I gotta see the rest of these. I know there's more of them. I gotta watch the rest of these." And so she took me and and if you remember old video stores, because this was an old mom and pop one, they had to have these little hooks. So and these little plastic tags, and you
Mhm.
pull the tag off of it, and you take that tag, because that would be in front of the movie, because you couldn't just take the whole movie up because that was part of the
Yeah.
display. You had to take the tag off, bring it up to the counter, put it on the counter, and like, "That's the one I want." So I got all 5 because Revenge of the Sith was not out yet. And I remember going home, and it was these ones too. It was like this. So these covers are very nostalgic to me. It was like
I've
these are 2.
actually yeah, those are the ones that I've got those, somewhere. I think
Actually,
they might be
even saying that, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it because I'm not. I know that
mhm,
the episode 1 and episode 2 released on both VHS and
and
DVD.
DVD.
Revenge of the Sith was the first one to only do DVD. So maybe I got VHSs of episodes 1 and 2. I don't remember. No, it was DVDs of all of them because I remember the original
Mhm.
trilogy was definitely on DVD. Anyway, I went home, binged all of them. Return of the Jedi was my favorite one as a kid, until I watched it was a perfect storm because right at that time was when Revenge of the Sith marketing started to kick in.
That marketing campaign
And
was
dude,
legendary. It was so
and
good.
yeah, and then that was like what the final nail in the coffin after I watched those is I went to just Walmart with my mom, and I remember seeing a Darth Vader action figure, and like I just watched the movies, and I'm like, I gotta have that. So
I
I
need
still
it.
have it. Actually I don't know where it's at. It's in one of my bins over there. Uh, and brought it home, and I'm like, this is it. Like I don't know why I ignored this, and that was my life. Like it became
I
my
love it.
life. Like, and I went and I watched Revenge of the Sith at the drive-in with my sister that following summer, when it came out in May, and it was like that was my favorite movie. That was like it was an
Mhm.
experience. I'll never forget watching that. And there's so many little things I remember after that. Like I got the little Hot Wheels uh Jedi Interceptors because that's my favorite Star Wars ship of all time. I got the Obi-Wan and the Anakin interceptor, and we would go to the laundromat because our washer and dryer broke down, and we couldn't replace it right away. So we went to the laundromat, and I would reenact the entire Battle of Coruscant around this laundromat with these 2 little Hot Wheels interceptors.
Dun, dun. I love it. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it was all like I said, it was kind of a perfect storm. It just all hit right at the right time, and then it's been a lifelong fan since.
Yeah. Mine's a little different. As I so if you can see, do you see do you see that the VHS back there?
Oh, I sure do. I recognize that sucker, the gold one.
Mm-hmm. But yours is a little bit more pristine than mine. The reason
It is.
being is those are uh the original VHSs that I watched as a kid.
Love that.
I was digging through my parents' garage like a year ago or 2 years ago when they moved into the new house, and I just happened upon that, and I grabbed it, went to the house, and just asked my dad. I was like, "Hey, can I keep this? Can I have this?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." We're not doing anything with it. I was like, "Sweet." So
That's awesome.
um, those have a lot of sentimental and emotional value to me.
Yeah.
Um, because I remember the first vivid memory I have is watching the binary sunset scene with Luke.
Okay.
And I remember in that moment, I was kind of, I was, best way I can describe it is I was kind of like Luke. Like I was ready to see what else was going to happen.
You're about to take
And,
your first step into a larger world.
and, I fell in love with it at 5 years old, 6 years old. As long as I can remember, Star Wars has always been a part of my life, like
Yeah.
always. And um, the thing that really solidified my fandom was the Jedi Knight Jedi Outcast game. Uh,
Okay.
my brother, my dad, and myself, mostly my brother and my dad, I would watch them 9 times out of 10. They would play online as Gut Wrencher and Gut Wrencher Junior. That was their gamer tags back in the day, and
Fantastic.
I would just watch them. I'd watch them play multiplayer all the time, and I I I'd play the main game. And this next part, keep in mind, I'm 7 or 8 at this point, so I didn't really care about difficulty. So what I would do is we had it on PC, so of course I knew all the cheats, I knew the
Oh,
codes.
do you have the
So I
book? Do you have a
would
cheat code book?
no, I think I know I used IGN actually,
Oh,
like
okay. So you had
back
like
when
a little
like
notebook. You wrote them all
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I did. And what I would do is I'd crank it up to the highest difficulty, put it in God mode, and just go to town. So it again, I was 8 years old. Don't give me any flack. So,
No,
but
man, that's awesome. I love that.
yeah, I was that. That's why Kyle Katarn is, depending on the day, my favorite Legends character.
Really? Okay.
My second favorite Legends character is Starkiller.
Mm.
He's
See,
he
the Jedi Outcast games, they passed me by as well. I actually didn't even know about those games until like embarrassingly recently. um, but the Force Unleashed games, however, those were my jam when I was
mhm.
a kid.
I've got another vivid memory of Star Wars. I don't know how my brother got it. I think he got it at a midnight release the night before, but I can't remember. All I remember is my brother playing the first level as the Kashyyyk level with Vader.
Yes.
I just remember him watching. I remember watching him play that level, and my jaw was on the floor the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're going through Kashyyyk, literally blasting Wookiees every which way, using the Force as a means of destruction. Best way I
Yeah.
can describe it.
That was my reaction, man. When I played that game for the first time,
Bonkers.
I was like, I can't wait to play as this guy on the cover. He looks cool. Then you pop it in, I'm like, I'm playing as
Vader.
Darth Vader. I get to just force choke some Wookiees. Whoa.
Yeah, and I remember I went to school that day, and all I could think about was getting home. I just wanted to
Yeah.
get home and start playing that game. That's all I cared about.
Yep. Yep. I was
And then you play it. And Starkiller.
It's awesome, man. I was like that with that game and then also with Battlefront 2. I had a routine. I'd get home from school. I had a I had an iPod Touch.
I'm gonna let you I'm gonna let you finish. I that same routine, I had that same exact routine, but on PlayStation. I did the
That
same
was mine
thing.
too on PlayStation. Yep.
Yeah. The
I had Oh, sorry, go.
the pizza rolls.
Yep, I was about to say like I'd get
Yep.
home, pop a plate of pizza roll in the microwave, get up to my room, throw on I had a classic rock playlist. I'd put it in my ears and play an
Love it.
entire game of Galactic Conquest, and I do that every day.
See, my thing was the Mos Eisley heroes and villains battleground thing. Do
Oh, oh,
you do
well,
remember that, right?
which game was that?
I think that was 2. I think that was Battlefront 2. I'm pretty sure
Gosh, I
it
don't remember,
was.
man. It's
I think so.
I think with that, I only played Galactic Conquest and the campaign. I didn't do anything
Mhm.
else on Battlefront 2.
That campaign is haunting.
It's good.
Like it's good, but the the Tim voiceovers
It's
and the videos
yeah,
haunting.
terrific,
It
terrific.
would I loved it, but
Yeah, man. LucasArts is on fire back in the day, man.
it was.
I've been recently. I've been recollecting a lot of my old kind of games because that's my big hobby. Even though I got these figures behind me, my big hobby is retro gaming. And so I
Mhm.
recently, I don't know if you remember this game from back in the day, Lethal Alliance. Did you play that? I
Lethal
don't even
Alliance.
remember
What
her
that?
name. It was the Twi'lek bounty hunter. She like worked for Kyle Katarn. She had the droid.
Mm,
Um,
Mm-mm.
no, not ringing a
I,
bell.
mm-mm.
It only
That's
came out
weird
on
because
PSP and DS.
that's why I wasn't a. I was
I'm a
never.
handheld guy
Yeah,
all
I
the
was
way.
never. Well, for obvious reasons, I wasn't a handheld guy.
Mm. Well,
So,
I got you.
but
I got you.
yeah. But yeah, I just never was a handheld guy. I was the only handheld like game station I ever had was a Game Boy, and I
See,
only
as
played
my
Pokemon. That was the only
right.
thing I
Hey,
ever
there's
played.
no. What else is there? No, I got the first game I ever bought myself was Star Wars on the Game Boy. Uh,
Hmm.
then I still have my Game Boy Color that was my first game system I ever had. Um, I didn't actually get into console gaming until pretty late. That's why I missed all those games. Like I never
Hmm.
played Republic Commando,
So
Jedi Outcast.
you didn't have this set up right here, some
Sure
something like
did.
this.
I had a PS1. That was the only thing that we got kind of uh like when it was hot. No, that's not
Hmm.
even true because we got a PS1 Slim and that came out the same year that the PS2 did. So we were already a console generation behind. And I really didn't understand video games enough at the time. So I missed a lot of that library. I really only played like I was really into Pac-Man World, for example. Um, and then I had handhelds for a while. So I had my
Hmm.
Game Boy Color, my SP, and then my DS. And then I didn't get a real console until I had a PS2, but I was console generation behind. So I got a PS2 and the PS3 came out. And then somehow, to this day, I don't really know how I got this to work, but I traded my PS2 for a PS3. And
That's crazy.
I I can vaguely recall I said it as a joke to a friend of mine because we were playing Rock Band on my PS2, and I was like, "Hey man," I'm like, "I'll give you this for your PS3," and he's like, "Deal." I'm like, he's like, "I don't even play it anyway." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay,
so
I'll take it.
so then yeah, that kind of started that, but that's when I played. I think that year that I got that my PS3 is when no, geez, Force Unleashed 2 came out. So I was actually able to play a new game because I was always so behind.
Force Unleashed 2. Let's not talk about that.
I
Let's
know
just
I'm in the minority. I like that game.
really.
I do. I
Well,
do.
that just
I
it.
I know everybody hates it. I know. I get it. It's too short.
Well,
I think that
it's not just that. It just it. They could have executed it a little bit better. I think.
yeah, yeah. But as a kid, I didn't think about that at all.
Hmm.
I was at an age when I played that where I was starting. Let's see, what year did that even come out? I was older then.
It was
Had
2000
to.
and. Let me do a quick
So
Google
I don't know,
search.
but I know that I was a little bit older then, and I thought that game asked some pretty interesting questions, like about the nature of like your soul. Basically, I always found that so intriguing when I played it when I was younger. That oh, this guy is a clone, but is he really a clone or is he this guy? What'd you find?
October 26, 2010.
Oh, I was older when I played it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was yeah, and so I that was the first game I can really remember playing that I was like, "Huh, this is this is asking some deep questions." Now,
Hmm.
they're not realistically, there's other games that have asked way better questions and are better and stuff, but that was the first game that me personally I had played
Yeah.
that I thought was actually asking some interesting questions and like in the medium of video games. And so that's why Force Unleashed 2 has always kind of been a special game for me because there's the scene on this elevator with Rom Coda and Starkiller
I know the one you're
where
talking about.
they're kind of talking about the nature of like, is he a clone? Is he real? You know, are these memories that he has his? Are they not? Like, is the love he has for Juno really real? And Coda's like, yeah, of course it's real. It doesn't matter if you're a clone or not. Like it's all there. And so I don't know. I always thought that was really deep storytelling.
So I've got two more questions for you before we wrap this thing up.
Hit me, brother.
Kind of going off of Starkiller. What drew you to him as a character?
Drew me to Starkiller?
Yes.
I mean, let's be real. He's kind of like he was the edgelord of edgelords back in the day. Like he came at a time when like edgelords were popular and like he was the guy. And what's not to love about like the force lightning and the repulse and like the all I mean, he was so overpowered it was ridiculous. Like ripping star destroyers out of the atmosphere.
One of my favorite levels of that game.
It's great. So like I didn't really appreciate him as a character until Force Unleashed 2, I think. I just liked to play the game in the first one, to be honest. Like I didn't think that deeply about the story
because you're using the Force as a wrecking ball. You're just going through people. I mean, I'm replaying it right now. So
that's not true. I think that there did come a point in the game where I was like, this is actually like this is a really cool story. It was there's two scenes that stuck out to me when I was a kid. One when it's that scene in the snow. I don't even remember the context for it because it's been a while since I played it.
It was after
the meeting when
Starkiller got everybody together.
Yeah.
And essentially started the rebellion.
Yeah,
Vader comes in, beats the brakes off of everybody, yeets Starkiller into the snow, and then we get the scene. You promised to stay away.
Well, I love the part when Obi-Wan comes in.
Yeah,
because I think the animation direction was really great because you could see, at least maybe that was just kid me impressioning on it, but Vader kind of like gets scared for a minute. Like, whoa, where did he come from? But like then it's it's just proxy, but it was just enough to throw Vader off to get Starkiller.
That's the 1 minute that terrifies him. That's the 1 minute that terrifies him.
I always liked that. I liked that scene, and then the last scene I always thought was great, where they kind of made the Galen's crest the rebellion,
the rebel insignia.
Yeah. So, yeah, I started to replay it a couple months ago, but I didn't finish it. I guess this is my sign to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would recommend you finish it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was enjoying it. I just got sidetracked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were getting ready to have a whole child.
So. Yeah.
Priorities.
Yeah. That's actually I've been playing Fallout right now, and I tell people she's my Fallout buddy because what we'll do is I'll just she'll sleep on my chest and I'll play Fallout.
That's adorable.
For a while until she gets old enough to hear what they're saying, and then I might have to play that myself.
Yeah. And this is, I'm kind of joking, kind of not joking. What is your favorite Star Wars movie and why is it Rise of Skywalker?
Here we go. The Rise of Skywalker. Why is it my favorite Star Wars movie? My goodness, I don't even know where this started. I don't know where this joke started.
I think it started on y'all's movie tier list. I think that's where it started.
Is that where it started?
I think so. Yeah.
It's because I'm somewhat of an apologist of this movie. I don't think it's, to be clear, to set the record straight, I don't think this movie is awesome or anything. I just think that it's kind of like, I know that you share my opinions about The Last Jedi, at least most of them.
Well, if you watch my tier list,
I did watch your tier list.
So I hate that movie. I hate it.
if you come out of The Last Jedi and like you're jaded and then you go into Rise of Skywalker, I think if you just accept what you're watching, it's fun. I think that you can have a good time because there's nothing. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but like, there's nothing
Uh-oh.
offensive in that movie, like in The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, somehow Palpatine returned is super dumb, but is it any dumber than what we saw in the
Connor, keep
last
your
movie?
voice down. The fanboys are going to come after us
I
live on the
know, I
show. Keep your
know.
voice
I just
down.
think, like I said, at the end of the day, like there are scenes in that movie that kind of rock. Like that
And then
opening 10
some.
minutes is pretty fire. I can't lie.
Mhm.
Ian McDermott is putting on a show. I don't care how he got there. I mean, I do care, but like if
But it's
I can get
Palpatine.
past
We
that.
got him.
I can get past how he got there, and just enjoy his performance. I like the ending when all the Jedi voices are talking to Rey. I think that's fun. I like Kylo Ren. I think he's a fun character. So that's why. And I don't know. I like the Luke scene and like him and the Leia and him training the flashback. I just think there's fun
Yeah.
moments of that movie. Okay, gosh,
I, I will say my thoughts on that movie in particular have uh have changed recently because
has it?
of
Because Grayson, right?
it's because I had Grayson on a couple of two like last month or
Hmm.
2 months ago at this point, and it was just to literally just talk about the sequels and just talk about them, and he changed a lot of my perspectives on that movie. I mean, it was in my B tier on my tier list, I think, and if that would have happened 4 months ago, I probably would have put it down there with Last Jedi. I mean,
Okay.
I've appreciate that movie now because of some points that Grayson made, specifically about Ray choosing to be a Skywalker because of
Yeah.
her impact from Luke, Leia, and Han.
See, I've always
And
liked that personally. Even
yeah,
when I watched it the first time, that was one of the things that I liked about that movie.
mhm.
The sequels are just they're an interesting bag for sure. I think that
They could have done those a lot better if they would have
oh,
had
I mean,
if they would have just had
a plan.
a cohesive
Yeah.
a vision
I
like
think that at the end of the day, it's like I'm still trying to kind of suss out my own feelings about it because at the
mhm,
time it's difficult. Like when you're watching each of those movies as they were coming out, that's all we had at the time, other than Rogue One and Solo, which are great. Um, but that's all we had of like Luke, of Leia, of Han, of our heroes. And I think what
mhm,
if I really got to the core of what bothered me, it's that I feel like the sequels kind of stole the agency of our heroes,
mhm.
all to reset the status quo exactly where it was in A New Hope, just to
Yeah,
just to give just to
the
give the
new
viewers that
characters.
same. Yeah, yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
bothers me so much about it because that didn't happen from OT to prequel trilogy. We didn't have this weird kind of paradigm shift in that way. And so that's why, like when I hear people talk about the Ray movie, and I am excited about that movie because I like Ray as a character, but at the same time, I have to admit I'm a little irritated because I got told as a Luke fanboy, I'm a massive Luke fanboy, you need to get over it. Get over Luke. We don't need any more of him. And it's like, okay, but why does Ray get her own movie? Why does she get her
Show us
follow up? Why does
show us why Luke goes from
yeah,
I'm not going to kill my father. You're going to have to kill me. I'm not doing this
yeah, to that guy,
to
right?
to get off my island. No,
Yeah.
show us. Give us the give it to
It
us.
just feels like there's a piece missing,
Show
that's
it.
all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with the direction that they took for most of the story beats, I'm okay with where they took our main trio. I just feel like there's a piece missing, and without that piece, if they and as they keep going with these other characters, it really just feels like they've stolen the agency a bit from the heroes that I grew up with and I loved.
Mhm.
And I hate that because I don't want to pit Ray against Luke. There's no reason for me to do that, but I almost feel like I've been boxed into a corner where I'm like I I almost don't want to like some of these characters. So I'm like, man, this should have been their opportunity, and it's
Yeah.
like, but it's not. It's like you get your own movie after your trilogy, even after I was told forever that I got to get over it and move on for wanting a follow up to my favorite hero's story. So that's, I don't know, that's how I feel. But at the end of the day, I do like quite a bit about the sequels.
Mhm.
But we got so far and away from your actual
Yeah.
question.
I mean, no, I mean that's what I mean. I'm okay with it. But what is like what actually is, I mean, you touch on it. What is your favorite Star Wars
Oh,
movie
it's
and
Revenge of the
why?
Sith. 100%. It's Revenge of the Sith. Um, there's a lot to love about every Star Wars movie, even the ones that I have issues with. And but at the end of the day, Revenge of the Sith will always be my favorite because I think that Revenge of the Sith is everything I think George Lucas was trying to do with Star Wars. And I
Mhm.
think that it was all rolled into one grand finale. And I think Revenge of the Sith does feel like that. It
His
feels like
magnum opus.
if you go to a fireworks show and you're watching uh you're watching the fireworks go off and you're having a good time, maybe they pop off a really big one. It's like, whoa, that's really cool. And like, hey, that one's A New Hope. That really big one that you just saw, that one's Empire. That crazy one, that's Return of the Jedi. But they always save that Mac Daddy for the end, that grand finale where they're pulling out all the stops. That's Revenge of the Sith, where it's like they put George put everything, the music. John Williams is firing on
Cooking.
every cylinder.
Cooking.
The lightsaber choreography is on another level. The iconography is on another level. You have the space battles. You have the tragedy of Darth Vader. All of it is built up to in such a brilliant way. And I think that it also emphasizes in the best way what George was trying to do with this sort of Shakespearean-esque tragic storytelling with the dialogue. Because yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
you look at Attack of the Clones and we can meme it to death, and there's some stuff in there that's
I don't like
maybe doesn't
sand.
land as well. But I think that he really kind of he nailed that tone he was going for in Revenge of the Sith. It was almost like Attack of the Clones was a rough draft in almost every sense. Like Attack of the Clones is still a great movie. I'm not knocking it at all. I still love that movie. But it was almost like that's the rough draft in terms of the visuals, some of the CG he was trying, because a lot of the stuff was so cutting edge at the time too. A lot of people forget Attack of the Clones was, I'm pretty sure, the first blockbuster movie made on digital.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think it was.
they did some digital with Phantom Menace, but the Attack of the Clones was shot entirely on digital. And a lot of those, I mean, digital sets, all the clones were digital. I mean, and then the dialogue and the way he was trying to tell this kind of Shakespearean tragedy, I feel like that was it was the rough draft was Attack of the Clones, and he perfected all of that in Revenge of the Sith. And it just
Mhm.
feels momentous. It feels mythical. It feels epic. And then when you get to those last moments of, and one of the most brilliant things to me is that it has this climax of, you're fighting for the heart of the galaxy with Anakin and Obi-Wan, this beautiful tragedy. But then you're fighting in the heart of the galaxy with Sidious and Yoda,
Mhm.
and this back and forth and back and forth. And that's so awesome. And then after that, in what usually would be sort of your uh your closing action, right? Where it's you're sort of calming down. You're up here with your climax and falling action, excuse me, and you're just simmering down. You're getting ready to end. But then you get one of the best, depending on the day, could be the best scene in the entire saga, and that's, as the score titles it, the death of Padme and the birth of the twins. And that scene
Mhm.
where Padme dies, Vader is born, and then Luke and Leia are given to Bail and then to Owen and Beru. I
Hope
mean,
survives.
there's nothing to say. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's everything comes together in that moment. Every bit of George's filmmaking, the storytelling, the music, everything comes together. And I love it. I doubt it will ever be dethroned. I don't think there's any way it could be ever dethroned.
Mhm.
Uh, but I challenge anybody to try, because if that's your standard and that's your mark, then I think that,
Good luck trying to hit it.
and not just good luck trying to hit it, but I think that you're shooting for excellence, and that's a good place to be. So it'll always be my favorite. And also, I mean, there's just the personal nostalgia that's associated with it too. It was kind of the nail in the coffin for my Star Wars journey, which is
Yeah.
which is a negative way to say it, I guess. But yeah. What
All
about
right,
you?
man. Well,
You gotta hit me with yours. I know what it is for the tier
mine,
list, but for the viewers at home, just to catch them up.
mine would be Empire. It's my
Okay.
favorite. Always has, always will be. Just because I say about this movie without going on a tangent.
It's a fine choice.
It takes everything that made Luke good in the first movie, made him able to win and beat the bad guy in the first movie, turned it on its head, and made that his reason for getting his butt whipped in the second film. Everything that makes Luke a good character is used against him in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say the same thing with Leia and Han. Everybody at the end of this movie is at their lowest point. Han's in carbonite, hanging up in Jabba's palace as a door frame. You've got Luke just got his hand chopped off, and he just realized that Space Hitler is his dad. So, and I'm actually going to steal something that Seth said on one of y'all's episodes. Everything that he's been training to, everything that Obi-Wan and Yoda has been teaching him over the last little bit, is shown that that's what he's going to become. That's what he's trying to. The thing that he's trying to beat is his father. So he's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do there, and that's another what if I might do. That might be one I might do.
It'll be a fun one.
And just, I mean, it's got them. I said this when Tony had me on his show. It's got the most iconic scene in all of Star Wars, and probably I would say top 3 in film history.
It's true. Yeah.
Ask anybody on the street, and they'll probably tell you that scene from that scene. Luke, yeah. I am your father.
I am your father.
It's
no, that's not true. That's impossible.
Impossible. I love it. But
yeah, I'm with you, man. It's a fine choice. It's a great choice. It's my number 2 for sure.
And something else that I noticed when I was watching it a couple weeks ago. I mean, I've kind of noticed it every time now, but in that fight against Luke, Vader's just playing with him. He's one-handing him almost the entire fight, and the one hit that Luke gets on him makes him so mad that he cuts his hand off. So I don't know what else I can say other than it's great.
It's good stuff.
So
quality.
But Konnor, we're going pretty long here, so I think it's about time to wrap it up. So
all right. Well, hey, thanks for having me. This was awesome. I apologize. I feel like I was quite babbly at the beginning. I'm
okay with babbling. I'm okay with it. That's why I do these long format shows when I get people on. I'm a bit of a talker too, so it's good. I don't mind bouncing between stuff that is Star Wars, isn't Star Wars. It's my show. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. So
hey, that's right. You do you.
But yeah, man, it was like I said, I've been trying to get you on here for I don't know how long.
I know. And, I'm sorry. It's been so busy. I'm so glad that I finally had some time to come on. Yeah. It's been awesome.
And it was just I mean, I've enjoyed this, and I think everyone else is gonna like it. So
let's do this again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be very soon. Don't worry. I've got a couple ideas cooking in my head, so just wait. But guys, until next time, may the force be with you.